Jaya Gopitana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopitana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopitana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopitana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Bol. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande. Jai Vishupad Paramahamsa. Parivratagacharya Stotra Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace. Hirabai Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki. Skandi Biti Founder Acharyas Divine Grace Sri Prabhupada ki. Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur ki. Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda ki. Harinama Sankirtan ki. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Danitai Gaura Pimanande. All glories to be assembled devotees. All glories to be assembled devotees. All glories to be assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada ki. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Sarakaya Daksurundritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurube Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamsya Sri Rupam Sagradatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanditam Scha Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakansana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Shaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality. Nityam Bhagavata Seva Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed or practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama
Idam Bhagavatam Nama
Puranam Brahma Samhitam
Puranam Brahmasamitam
Uttama Shloka Charitam
Uttama
Bhagavan Rishi
Shloka Bhagavan Rishi
Nishreyasaya Lokasya
Nishreyasaya
Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat.
Dhanyam Sasaya Namaha.
This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, as Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya,
Sri Krishna Chaitanya,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Sri Advaita Gadadhara,
Sri Advaita Gadadhara,
Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda,
Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare
Rama
Hare.
Rama, Hare Hare.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
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 Mukam karoti vasalam pangum langayate girim yadkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam yadkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to our morning Bhagavatam class. So we were reading a little earlier in the Vaishnava calendar, today being the disappearance of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Somebody can just, at the end of the class, we'll take a few minutes to read something. You can find it somewhere, different places. Brief history of Narottam Das Thakur will be there.
Yes.
Yeah, so just keep it there. Well, that's a little bit too short. 5 lines. We are continuing from Canto number 1, chapter 10, entitled Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwarka. We are reading the wonderful prayers offered by the ladies who were from the rooftop looking down and seeing Krishna about to leave Hastinapura to return to Dwarka. And they are spontaneously remembering the Lord, describing him in different ways. And one of the verses we have read was stating how these natural glorifications by the ladies, being very spontaneous, being very pure, were or are accepted as being even more valuable than the Vedic hymns. Yes. So yesterday we read 25, I believe.
26.
And
Yesterday
today is
25.
and today is 26. We have to be careful. Yes. Yes. Okay. Text number 26. Aho.
Aho.
Alam.
Alam.
Slagyatamam. Slagyatamam.
Slagyatamam.
Yadoho.
Yadoho.
Kulam.
Kulam.
Aho.
Aho.
Alam.
Alam.
Punyatamam.
Punyatamam.
Madhor.
Madhur.
Vanam.
Vanam.
Yad.
Yad.
Esha.
Yesha.
Pumsam.
Pumsam.
Rishabha.
Rishabha.
Sriyaha.
Sriyaha.
Patihi.
Patihi.
Sva.
Swa.
Janmana.
Janmana.
Chankramanena.
Chankramanena.
Chanchati.
Chanchati.
Aho alam slagyatamam yadokulam.
Alo alam slagyatamam yadukulam.
Aho alam punyatamam madhor vanam.
Aho alam punyatamam madhurvanam.
Yadesha pumsam rishabhasriya patihi.
Yadesha pumsam rishabhasriyapati.
Svajanmana chankramanena chanchati.
Svajanmana chankramanena chanchati.
Aho alam slagyatamam yadokulam.
Aho alam slagyatamam yadukulam.
Aho alam punyatamam madhor vanam.
Aho alam punyatamam madhurvanam.
Yadesha pumsam rishabhasriya patihi.
Yadesha pumsam rishabhasriyapati.
Svajanmana chankramanena chanchati.
Svajanmana chankramanena chanchati.
Aho alam slagyatamam yadokulam.
Aho alam slagyatamam yadukulam.
Aho alam punyatamam madhorvanam.
Aho alam punyatamam madhurvanam.
Yadesha pumsam rishabha sriyapatihi.
Yadesha pumsam rishabhasriyapati.
Svajanmana chankramanena chanchati.
Svajanmana chankramanena chanchati.
Aho alam sangyatamam yadokulam.
Aho
Alam
alam slagyatamam yadokulam.
Aho alam punyatamam madhurvanam.
Aho alam punyatamam madhorvanam.
Desha pumsam rishabhasriyapati.
Yadesha pumsam rishabhasriyapatihi.
Svajanmana chankramanena shamsati.
Sajanmana chankramanena chamsati.
Aho alam slagyatamam yadokulam.
Aho alam slagyatamam yadokulam.
Aho alam punyatmam madhurvanam.
Aho alam punyatamam madhorvanam.
Desha pumsam rishabhashriyapatihi.
Yadesha pumsam rishabhasriyapatihi.
Svajanmana chakramena manena chanchati.
Sajanmana chankramanena chanchati.
Aho alam slagya tamam yadokulam.
Aho alam slagyatamam yadokulam.
Aho alam punya tamam madhurvanam.
Aho alam punyatamam madhorvanam.
Yadesha pumsam rishabhasriyapatihi.
Yadesha pumsam rishabhasriyapatihi.
Svajanmana chankramanena chanchati.
Svajanmana chankramanena chanchati.
Aho alam slagyatam yadokulam.
Aho alam slagyatamam yadokulam.
Aho alam punyatam madhurvanam.
Aho alam punyatamam madhorvanam.
Yadesha pumsam rishabhasriyapati.
Yadesha pumsam rishabhasriyapatihi.
Swajanmana chakramanena chanchati.
Sajanmana chakramanena chanchati. One more.
Aho alam slagyatamam yadokulam.
Aho alam slagyatamam yadokulam.
Aho alam punyatamam madhurvanam.
Aho alam punyatamam madhorvanam.
Yadesha Punsam Rishabhashiyapatihi
Yadesha pumsam rishabhasriyapatihi
Swajanmana Chankramanena Chanchati
Prajanmana chankramanena chanchati. Aho. Oh. Alam. Verily. Slagyatamam. Supremely glorified. Yadoho. Of King Gadu. Kulam. Dynasty. Aho. Oh. Alam. Verily. Punyatamam. Supremely virtuous. Madhovanam. The land of Mathura. Yat. Because. Eshaha. It is. Pumsam. Of all the living beings. Rishabha. Supreme leader. Sriyaha. Of the goddess of fortune. Patihi. Husband. Swajanmana. By his appearance. Chankramanena. By crawling. Chaanchati. Glories. Translation. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Oh, how supremely glorified is the dynasty of King Yadu, and how virtuous is the land of Mathura, where the supreme leader of all living beings, the husband of the goddess of fortune, has taken his birth and wandered in his childhood. Kind of repeat after me. Oh, how supremely glorified is the dynasty of King Yadu, and how virtuous is the land of Mathura, where the supreme leader of all living beings, the husband of the goddess of fortune, has taken his birth and wandered in his childhood. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, has expressively given a description of his transcendental appearance, disappearance, and activities. The Lord appears in a particular family or place by his inconceivable potency. He does not take his birth as a conditioned soul quits his body and accepts another body. His birth is like the appearance and disappearance of the sun. The sun arises on the eastern horizon, but that does not mean that the eastern horizon is the parent of the sun. The sun is existent in every part of the solar system, but he becomes visible, not it becomes visible. He becomes visible at a scheduled time, and so also becomes invisible at another scheduled time. In the Mahabharata, there is a wonderful Leela. Well, it's filled with wonderful Leelas. When when the Pandavas were living incognito. So at one point, incognito, in hiding. Huh?
Ajnatavas.
Okay.
Incognito means Ajnatwas. I must
Yeah. We're talking different language, but I think we mean the same thing. So, at one time, as I think everyone from India knows, that Arjuna uh, went to see his father. He went to the heavenly planet of Indra, Indraloka. So how did he go there? Actually, he in the Himalayas. There is one particular place which is like stepping stone. It's like from there you can go to heavenly planets if you know how to do that. Otherwise, you get lost in the Himalayas and you just die. uh, and then, so the chariot, Indra sends his chariot and chariot driver. I forget his name. Anyone know? Chariot driver?
Who's chariot driver?
Huh?
Who's chariot driver? Indra's. Matli.
Matali?
Matli.
Possibly. Yeah. You won't go to hell if you don't know the chariot driver's name. Uh, so, anyways, so he leaves the Earth planet. He's on the chariot, and it's like you can just imagine, right? It's like probably going on a rocket, or on an airplane, like a small child on an airplane, first time in an airplane. Wow, he sees all as the chariot goes up, and Earth becomes smaller and smaller. And then he's seeing all the vast, sky, all the different planets. And as they get higher and higher, Arjuna is just like totally amazed at seeing all this like spectacle. And then the chariot driver is pointing out, and you see these are the Saptarishis. And as he points to the Saptarishis, he tells Arjuna, you people on the Earth planet, you think these are stars. They are the Saptarishis. They're people.
Yes.
They're not just stars. So same thing here. It's like sun planet. The
Sun
person.
planet, it is not. It is
Not it is.
Yeah.
It is he.
He.
Yes.
Actually, when the wedding ceremony over, the
Wedding
priest,
ceremony.
yeah, priest will show that Arundhati Nakshatra to the couple.
Ah,
So one of the ritualistic activity.
okay. Most of us are brahmacharis. We don't know.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. Just an example.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I'll just read that sentence again. The sun is existent in every part of the solar system, but he becomes visible at a scheduled time, and so also becomes invisible at another scheduled time. And now we continue. Similarly, the Lord appears in this universe like the sun, and again leaves our sight at another time. He exists at all times and at every place. But by his causeless mercy, when he appears before us, we take it for granted that he has taken his birth. Anyone who can understand this truth in terms of the statements of revealed scriptures certainly becomes liberated just after quitting the present body. Janma karmat samid divyam evam joveti tattvataha tyaktva deham punar janma naitimam iti Arjuna. That verse Prabhupada is referring to. Liberation is obtainable after many births and after great endeavor in patience and perseverance, in knowledge and renunciation. But simply by knowing in truth about the Lord's transcendental births and activities, one can get liberation at once. This is the verdict of the Bhagavad Gita. But those who are in the darkness of ignorance conclude that the Lord's birth and activities in the material world are similar to those of the ordinary living being. Such imperfect conclusion cannot give anyone liberation. His birth, therefore, in the family of the King Yadu, as the son of King Vasudeva, and his transfer into the family of Nanda Maharaj in the land of Mathura are all transcendental arrangements made by the internal potency of the Lord. The fortunes of the Yadu dynasty and that of the inhabitants of the land of Mathura cannot be materially estimated. If simply by knowing the transcendental nature of the birth and activities of the Lord one can get liberation easily, we can just imagine what is in store for those who actually enjoyed the company of the Lord in person, as a family member or as a neighbor. All those who were fortunate enough to associate with the Lord, the husband of the goddess of fortune, certainly obtained something more than what is known as liberation. That is written in italics. They obtained something more than what is known as liberation. Therefore, rightly, the dynasty and the land are both ever glorious by the grace of the Lord. Translation again. Oh, how supremely glorified is the dynasty of King Yadu, and how virtuous is the land of Mathura, where the supreme leader of all living beings, the husband of the goddess of fortune, has taken his birth and wandered in his childhood. So the ladies are remembering Mathura. And what do we remember when we think of Mathura? Vrindavan. Mathura Vrindavan, isn't it? Mathura Vasa. Mathura Vasa is one of the 5 ways, 5 most potent ways by which one can actually awaken one's dormant love for Krishna. Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtan Bhagavata Sravana Mathura Vasa Sri Murtira. That is nicely explained. That is in the Madhya Lila, chapter 22, which is nicely describing bhakti, devotional service. So therefore, the land of Mathura. Now we have just entered a few days ago, month of Kartik. Month of Kartik is especially the time of the year to remember Mathura, to remember the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, and to try and understand the the great fortune of the residents of Vrindavan. When Krishna appears, he appears with various types of associates, 3 types of associates. It is described in the Shastra. Participate in Krishna's Lila. Who are those 3 types of living entities who participate in Krishna's Lila? And they're all fortunate, obviously. One are those who are Nitya Siddha, those who directly come from the spiritual world, who who are thus not in any way conditioned. So they have that great fortune of being with Krishna when he manifests his pastimes in the material world. Second living entities, second category, are actually demigods, certain demigods. Just like Prabhupada explains how now on this planet, the ongoing pastimes of Lord Chaitanya are taking place. Because that's 500 years in the context of eternity is nothing. It's just like yesterday. So Prabhupada explains how demigods are waiting in line to take birth in today and to be part of the ongoing pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So similarly, when Krishna appears, demigods also get an opportunity. Some demigods. I don't know what is the criteria for choosing or allowing, but some fortunate demigods also participate. And then the third category, which should be of great interest to all of us. Third category of living entities, Devotees. Everyone, they're all devotees. What do you mean devotees? The Nitya, those who are Nitya Siddhas, they're devotees. Demigods who appear also are also devotees. So if you say devotees, it doesn't add clarity. So, yes, those who have been cast in the material world and have been loitering in the material world since time immemorial, but who have had at some point the great fortune of coming in contact with Vaishnavas and who have taken up the process of devotional service and who have become very serious about applying this process of bhakti, and so serious that they become qualified. Okay, now you have attained this level, and before you go back to the spiritual world, you get an opportunity to be part of Krishna's pastimes. So in other words, we're still here. That means we, because once we take part, once we have that great fortune to be part of Krishna's pastimes, we don't come back again in the material world. That's our ticket outside the material world. That is the arrangement. So that is why in the Shastra, this planet is considered the most important planet of all the planets, the most important place in the whole universe. There are so many hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, trillions, and more planets in every universe. But there's only one small planet, this Earth planet, where Krishna performs his Leela. Home of Vrindavan. Vrindavan. The Goloka Vrindavan manifests in the material world. So therefore, Prabhupada explains that to be born in India is a great boon, is something very unique, very special. To come to India, actually most people, for example, if we look at the population on the planet today, except for those who are born in India, how many other people actually make it to India? How many people even know that it's important to come to India? Very insignificant, isn't it? Of course, now by Prabhupada's mercy, we have a few people who are, yeah, from Europe, from Africa, from America. That is part of the prediction that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was envisioning. Actually, all of these great personalities, just like today is the disappearance of Srila Narottam Das Thakur, who had the great fortune of associating directly with Srila Jiva Goswami. He just missed. He was feeling bad because when he left his home, he had a great desire to actually personally meet and associate with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just left. And then he traveled, he was thinking, oh, let me go to Vrindavan to get the good association of Sanatan Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami. But when he arrived, in those days not so easy to travel, when he arrived, they had already left. But he was fortunate to get the good association of Srila Jiva Goswami. And from that time, actually, because that was the mission and that was the vision that Lord Chaitanya gave, especially to the Goswamis of Vrindavan, that you study the Vedic literatures, you take out the essence of those Vedic literatures, and you write books and you distribute. So in other words, that vision, someone shared actually a few months back, because in our ISKCON society we have a system, as you know, of book points, right? Book distribution. So many books you distribute, you get so many points. And there's transcendental competition, just like there was recently Bhadra Purnima. I don't know the end result, but
from Hyderabad, Miyapur got second place.
Yes, Miyapur. Sri Ram Prabhu was mentioning they got second place in India, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So one devotee actually shared how during the time of the Goswamis, they would be our devotees like Narottam Das Thakur. They were young men. They were in their adolescent year, actually, very young, when Narottam Das Thakur and Shyamananda Pandit, Srinivas, when they went to Vrindavan, and they got all this mercy. And then, of course, one fine day, Srila Jiva Goswami, he broke the news to them that now you have to leave Vrindavan to bring these books and distribute. So so many things happened, of course, but they were actually understanding the need of spreading this knowledge, and they would write. There are somehow devotees have found some of these written in like on palm leaves, some letter of I'm not sure if it's from Jiva Goswami or one of the, not Jiva Goswami, a letter from maybe Narottam or
Srivas Kaviraj Goswami's Chaitanya Charitamrita script is there in families.
the point I'm making is that they were writing and sending their yearly score that we distributed so many books this year. In other words, book distribution and book scores, well, they were not keeping book score at that time, has been ongoing, was there from the very beginning. In this way, this is what Srila Prabhupada actually, when he was giving his lectures on the nectar of devotion in Vrindavan. What year was that? Prabhupada gave a very famous series of lectures on the book Nectar of Devotion. Everyone should be knowing what year that was. That means that you're not hearing these lectures, which you should be doing. They're very, very important. Prabhupada himself, after spending a number of years in the Western countries preaching, introducing Krishna consciousness, he came back to India, and in 1972, in around Kartik time, around this time, he daily was giving morning classes on the importance of, on the nectar of devotion. And he refers naturally to Vrindavan, how Vrindavan is very, very special for all the devotees, because Vrindavan is a replica of the spiritual world. And of course, Vrindavan is not only in Vrindavan. Vrindavan is not only in Vrindavan. Vrindavan is right here in Mayapur also, isn't it? What is Mayapur called in Vrindavan? What is Vrindavan called in Mayapur? Gupta. Gupta Vrindavan. Yeah. Jagannath Puri is Bhava Vrindavan. South India is called You've not been to South India. Dakshin Vrindavan. Udupi. Yeah, Dakshin means south. So the Vaishnavas know these places, and I'm sure there are more, that have this particular name. Dakshin Vrindavan is there because Krishna is performing his Bala Leela, isn't it, in Udupi. Udupi Krishna. We have Udupi Krishna here actually. We have Udupi Krishna and Udupi Balaram. Here they're on the same altar. In South India, they're on different altars. They have their own temple quite far away. Balaram is on the seashore. He's just keeping an eye on the ocean so that it doesn't disturb his brother, who's a little bit in the interior. Yeah. So, so Vrindavan, whether we are in that Bhoma Vrindavan or we are in Mayapur Vrindavan, Gupta Vrindavan, or whether we are in Jagannath Puri, Bhava Vrindavan, or whether we are in Dakshin Vrindavan, Udupi. Rameshwar Prabhu spent a lot of time in Udupi Krishna. These are very special places because more easily we are able to remember the um, and not only to remember but to glorify the great fortune of those devotees who were present, who were assisting the Lord actually in his lila, in his pastimes. So Prabhupada is making the point here that liberation, what's the line? He underlines, he stresses, yes. Most people who know a little bit about spiritual life, they are aspiring for what? Mukti, liberation. But that is nicely explained in the very beginning of the Nectar of Devotion. Liberation is not a main attraction, not at all an attraction actually for the devotees of the Lord, because there's something way beyond liberation. So this point is being made here. All those who were fortunate enough to associate with the Lord in Vrindavan, the Lord who is the husband of the goddess of fortune, certainly obtains something more than what is known as liberation. So that is the a special mercy and special feature of Vrindavan Dham. That is the special feature and special uh, mercy of those who are somehow or other connected with Krishna. All of us are actually, Nectar Devotion explains that as soon as someone begins his activities in devotional service, even from the very beginning, according to Srila Rupa Goswami, one is considered liberated. Why one is considered liberated? We're still here. We're still here in the material world. How is it that we're liberated? Because anyone who has begun the process of devotional service, it's simply a question of time. He is on his way out of the material world. He has found the path. He's on the path. And it's a question of simply remaining on the path and becoming very resolute in determination in actually nicely, properly applying the process. So Prabhupada would explain how before the advent of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, people who took up spiritual life, those few, because it's only few, fortunate, as Krishna confirms and explains in the Bhagavad Gita, Manushanam Sahasrishu, out of many hundreds and thousands of people, only very few take up the spiritual life, only very few attain liberation, only very few attain beyond liberation, which is to come in contact with this knowledge and this process. So in this way, the ladies in Hastinapura were remembering and appreciating the great fortune of those residents of Vrindavan because they were connected with Krishna. The residents, they were not, the ladies were not remembering the residents of Dwarka, nor the residents of Mathura. They were remembering the residents of Vrindavan, because Krishna, even when he is in, whether it's Mathura or Dwarka, he also remembers the residents of Vrindavan. He's also attracted by those very um, very intimate pastimes of Vrindavan. So, yeah, the month of Kartik that we are just beginning is opportunity actually uh, to remember this Damodarastakam is helping us to remember this particular pastime, Lord Damodar, and we have one full month to try and develop our or increase, our appreciation for these different many festivals during this month are taking place. Did anyone find about? You can. Oops, you can show me. Yeah. We just want to take a few sections. Okay. This is not too long. We will be something about Narottam Das Thakur. So, what was another name of Narottam Das Thakur? You read it, so don't mention it. Thakur Mahasai. Yeah. Mahasai means great personality. Thakur also no. Yes. Actually, in Gurukul, they sometimes refer to someone as, like, teacher is also known as respectable person. So Narottam Das Thakur was especially remembered, or is especially remembered, or is known as especially spreading bhakti, the cult of bhakti in Orissa. And outside of Bengal, in other parts of India. Yeah. He was the son of a king, King Krishnananda Datta and Narayani Devi. And they resided in Gopalpur, the Pura of Gopal. Yes. In actually, there's that place. What is it? Keturi, no? What is the difference between Keturi and Gopalpur? And when this is in Bangladesh, to the Bangladesh. Because, yeah, okay. He was, Narottam Das Thakur was a lifelong brahmachari. And, okay, yeah. This Gopalpur, it mentions here, in Rajashahi district, modern day Bangladesh, capital being Kitri. And close by is this Padma River. Yeah, Padma River. There's a very nice anecdote actually very significant. Before the birth or appearance of Narottam Das Thakur, Lord Chaitanya, with some of his associates, had traveled and taken bath. Lord Chaitanya had taken bath. Before taking bath, actually, in this Padma River. So Lord Chaitanya was, with a number of devotees, and he was calling out, Narottam, Narottam. And the devotees were wondering, what's he telling? Why he's calling Narottam? Why he's calling Narottam? And then Lord Chaitanya, he predicted that one great personality by the name Narottam will come, will soon come. And he took bath in the Padma River, and he left his Shakti. He left actually this whole, yes, in the Padma River, telling that one day when Narottam will come and bathe here, he will receive this Shakti, or this Bhakti actually. He left his potency. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left his potency in that river. And so some years passed.
50 years of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu living.
50? I don't think that long. Where you read that? 50. After some time, Narottam was born, and as was and still is the custom in India, the astrologer was reading, and he was telling, usually they tell all kinds of nice things naturally, but also it's like by astrological calculation, he was telling that this boy will actually become, he will take to spiritual life from a young age, and mentioned so many wonderful things about what he would do. But then, because this is told actually to the parents, especially, of the child who is born. And then the astrologer, he said, but one thing, you have to not allow him. You have to keep him away from this Padma River. Don't let him go swimming there. So when Narottam, as a small boy, small boys, they like to play. They like to go to the river. So his parents, they remembered that instruction. And so they were always forbidding him. Don't go there. You can go some other place, but don't go to the Padma River. So he never went for some years. After his father's departure. So he was like a teenage boy, quite young. 12? So somehow he was, it's like the more you tell somebody don't do this, the more you want to do it. Yeah. So then one fine day, because he was, his parents could understand that he was like, it was there in his chart, astrological chart, and they could see symptoms as he was growing. Like we read the description of Prahlad Maharaj or Narada Muni, not interested in playing like ordinary boys. They're not, because they're not ordinary boys. So then, one fine day, Narottam as a young boy, okay, today I'm going to go take bath in the Padma River. So he goes early morning, doesn't tell anybody, in secret, alone. He approaches the Padma River, offers his respects, then very slowly enters the river. And as soon as he enters the Padma River, it's like the Padma River floods, comes up, and within himself also, he becomes like the whole bhakti bhava of Mahaprabhu enters his body, and he becomes like a totally different person. So after some time, he goes back home, right? And they practically don't recognize him. What happened to you? You know, he's like, he's in a completely different consciousness, different mood. And his parents are mother totally concerned about him, like all mothers are concerned about their children. They become even more concerned when something unusual takes place. And now he's, because at that time we have to understand, it was still fresh. It's fresh in everyone's mind and memory that there's that great personality, Mahaprabhu, who's been traveling from village to village. And so many people are, just like we're reading yesterday, but Chaitanya is about to leave Orissa and enter into Bengal, which at that time is occupied by the Muslims. And then one spy comes over. We were reading that to find out what's going on. And then he sees all of these, it describes millions of people coming to see that great personality, Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya, we only read about it, but actually 500 years ago, it was like alive. It was, right? So it was, young boys especially, or young people, they become fascinated because they're looking for, some idol, for some example to follow. And nowadays it's like movie stars and, big famous personalities. So he already knew about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and naturally he wanted to join. He knew there was a Krishna consciousness movement was started at that time. So especially after bathing in the Padma River, he was like, somehow or other, I have to go to Vrindavan, or I have to go to Navadvip. I want to go to Navadvip to be with Lord Chaitanya, and to be with his devotees. So after some time, he decides, okay, to leave home. And so he does, and then still very young, and he goes to try and meet different of the associates of Lord Chaitanya, and of course finally makes his way to Vrindavan, and that's where there's these two other great personalities who had similar type of kind of background, Srinivas Acharya and Shyamananda Pandit. They all end up more or less around around the same time. They end up in Vrindavan just after the departure of Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. And Sri Jiva is there. Haribol, my students have come. I mean, to get personalities like Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas, and Shyamananda Pandit as students was like what is called God sent, So they're in ecstasy, of course, being in Vrindavan, and they spend um a number of years under the guidance of Srila Jiva Goswami, and like that, you know, um, they they get this rare opportunity of living in Vrindavan, of associating with so many great personalities. Even though Rupa and Sanatan had departed, many other important devotees were there. So they got their association and like this. And of course, when Srila Jiva Goswami requested them to leave Vrindavan, they were sufficiently, we could say, mature to introduce and spread the mission of Lord Chaitanya, just like it was mentioned here. Narottam Das Thakur, especially in Orissa, and then of course he went back to his village, and so many. Of course, we are today. Today means our Gaudiya Vaishnav um, are fortunate to have all of these wonderful uh, songs composed by Narottam Das Thakur. And we were hearing just a few days back, yeah, Srila Prabhupada explaining how, especially the songs composed by Narottam Das Thakur, a little bit like the hymns. I mean, the songs of the ladies in Hastinapura. Those songs of these ladies are considered more valuable, more important, more um, appealing than the Vedic hymns. Similarly, Narottam Das Thakur, his writings, because it's totally imbued with, you know, the mood, and also the Siddhanta or the philosophy that was given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that he received from Srila Jiva Goswami. So by reading or chanting these bhajans, they are also considered as being on the same level as Vedic knowledge, Vedic literatures. Yeah. Um, okay. I think there's more to be read, but so any comment or question on this?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, I want to mention that before taking bath in the Padma River,
Yes.
Srila Narottam Das Thakur had got a dream.
Before taking birth or before taking bath.
Yeah.
Okay, he got a dream.
Yeah.
Ah.
In that dream, Lord Nityananda had instructed him to go and take bath in the river
Yes, yes. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
because he doesn't know before that.
Right.
Their parents were
Preventing him,
yeah.
discouraging him. Yeah. Yes.
Why the astrologer said don't go bath on Padma River?
Somebody will explain to you after the class. You're not a good astrologer, huh?
Yes.
Unusual questions. Because most astrologers are not Vaishnavas. And astrologers are like sometimes we call pandits or purohits, and they, you know, that's the Vedic culture. They live um, at the the expense means that they perform different activities, whether it's homa or reading, the charts and whatnot. So he, one of the reasons he didn't want that the parents of Narottam become brokenhearted by losing their son, because he knew that as soon as he will go there, he will become a different person. So I mentioned that, yeah, there are different types of astrologers and they have different ways of thinking. And some of them definitely, it's like uh, it's like an occupation for them. So if they somehow um, break their relationship with those people, then they they won't be called again for another reading, possibly. And there are different reasons. Okay. Jai Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam Ki.
Jai.
Jai Sri Prabhupada Ki.
Yeah.